Welcome back to Deep Dive, the series where we are building financial independence step by step according to the Golden Path strategy.
And today is it's a critical transition point. We are officially moving from that internal world of preparation to the external world of action.
That's absolutely right. This is our fourth deep dive, and if you've been following along, you know we've set these non-negotiable foundations. We finished stage one, that identity shift from the reactive survivor to the, strategic asset owner. We defined a real measurable target for FI, and now we are deep in stage two.
Stage two, building financial resilience.
Exactly.
And that stage started with some tough work. Step 3 was that self-transparency, the financial map of every penny.
No.
Step 4, conscious budgeting, the plan for the future.
So you have the map and you have the steering wheel.
You do, but what good is a map if your car is actively leaking fuel?
That's the perfect question, because today we are hitting the most urgent, absolutely non-negotiable action in the whole sequence. Step 5.
Stop financial bleeding.
Stop financial bleeding. Stabilizing your cash flow, and finally eliminating that chronic overdraft that just keeps you trapped.
So our mission today is really straightforward. It's to explain the strategic gravity of this. I mean, if stage 1 was about identity, stage 2 is purely about resilience. Resilience before growth.
Right.
We have to understand why progress isn't just difficult. It's functionally impossible while your system is leaking money every single month.
The temptation, and we see this all the time, is just to skip this part.
Oh, always.
People see the finish line, the aggressive investing, the high returns, and they want to jump right to stage 3.
But you just can't. The architectural principles are crystal clear on this. You cannot invest your way out of a self-sabotaging system.
So stabilization has to come first.
It has to come before growth, before investing, before leverage. We've done the psychological prep work, but now the system architect has to step in and close the breaches.
Okay, so let's frame this problem, because what feels like just a temporary annoyance to most people is actually, it's a huge structural flaw.
It is.
When we say financial bleeding, what exactly are we talking about?
We are talking about the persistent deficit. It's that chronic overdraft, that ongoing structural gap where your income just founds out. It consistently fails to cover your expenses and habits.
It's that feeling of always playing catch-up.
Yes. Constantly shuffling money around, relying on a credit line just to make it to the next paycheck.
It's that pit in your stomach when you check your bank balance and you see the minus sign, or even just a zero, days after getting paid.
And people rationalize it. They say, oh, it was a tight month, or I'm just broke.
But the sources we've looked at frame this much, much more urgently.
They do. They don't call it a bruise that'll heal on its own. They call it a chronic open wound in your financial body.
A wound?
A wound that is constantly leaking capital. Day and night. Eating up interest, racking up fees. It demands active, urgent intervention, because if you leave it untreated, you make zero progress. Guaranteed.
And this leads to the classic trap, doesn't it? The moment you feel that pressure, the survivor in you just wants relief.
Instant relief. So what do? You throw a little bit of cash at it, a bonus, a tax return, maybe a small loan.
And it feels good for a little while?
Well, for a moment, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a narcotic. You feel like you fixed it for a few weeks. But the data is so clear on this. It's a tiny Band-Aid on a massive wound.
Because the underlying problem is still there.
Exactly. The habits, the income expense, imbalance, none of that has changed. So the bleeding starts right back up, and now it's often worse because you've added a new loan payment on top of everything.
And that's the core of why it's so destructive. It just keeps you trapped. Reactive. You're living by the credit card company's deadlines, always paying for yesterday, never able to look forward like that asset owner we worked so hard to become.
So the goal isn't just paying down a debt one time. That's treating a symptom.
The negative balance.
Right. The real goal is to treat the disease, the structural deficit itself, the chronic leak.
Which brings us to, I think, the most important strategic principle here. The reason you absolutely cannot skip this step.
Control precedes returns.
Control precedes returns.
It is non-negotiable financial engineering. Think of that classic leaky bucket analogy.
Okay.
If you have a hole in your financial bucket, it just doesn't matter how fast you pour new money into the top. It could be a huge raise, the investment of a lifetime.
Yeah.
None of it matters.
Because it's all just leaking out the bottom.
As fast as it comes in, The system is fundamentally self-sabotaging. The bucket will never, ever fill up.
But hold on, what about paying down, say, a high-interest credit card? That 20% interest feels like the biggest leak of all. Doesn't paying that off give you a massive return?
That is a fantastic question, and it gets right to the heart of symptom versus structure. Stopping the bleed is the prerequisite for effectively paying off debt.
Explain that.
If your cash flow is negative every month, how can you reliably make the huge payments you need to actually kill that debt? You can't. You'll make a big payment for 2, maybe 3 months.
And then an unexpected bill comes up.
And you're right back to using the credit card, wiping out all your progress. You're just spinning your wheels. The architecture demands stability first, so that every action after that, like debt repayment, can actually stick.
So stability ensures consistency.
Precisely. It's a delusion to think that a raise or some investment gain will magically outpace chronic overspending. It won't.
It's the opportunity cost.
It's the opportunity cost. Exactly. Every single dollar that's lost to interest or to just needless spending is a dollar that could have been compounding for you for the next 20 years. That's the real astronomical cost of the bleed.
And you mentioned fragility before. What happens if you ignore all this and just jump straight into aggressive investing?
You've built a skyscraper on quicksand. You are structurally fragile. So when the inevitable happens, and it will happen,
A market downturn, a job loss,
a medical bill, anything, you have no defensive wall, no foundation. And so those long-term investments are suddenly exposed. You have no choice but to sell them, probably at a loss, just to cover your daily needs.
you're destroying your future to survive the present.
Which is the absolute definition of the survivor mentality taking back control. Stopping the bleed secures that foundation. It builds the wall between your long-term assets and the chaos of daily life. It gives you true strategic patience.
Okay, so we've established the why. Stability before growth. Now, let's get into the diagnosis. How do you find where the money is actually leaking from?
Well, this is where your work from step 3, the financial mapping, comes in. You should be able to look at your numbers and spot which of these 4 common wounds is hitting you the hardest.
Let's run through them. Leak number 1 seems like the most obvious.
It's the most basic, the foundation of the whole problem.
Living beyond your means. Simple, cold math. Your expenses are consistently higher than your income. If $5,000 comes in and $5,300 goes out, month after month, you have a structural flaw, period.
And that big flaw is often made up of something much sneakier. Leak number 2, death by 1,000 cuts.
This isn't one big thing.
No, not at all. It's the small, impulsive, habitual leaks that just add up and destroy any margin you might have had. It's those little daily decisions.
And the data on this is just startling. That daily coffee habit. The sources show that can be over $2,600 a year.
Or the food delivery fees, the service charges, the tips. You do that 4 or 5 nights a week, and by the end of the year, you've erased any hope of a surplus.
And the silent killer in this category.
Subscription creep. Oh, it's brutal. The automatic payments for apps you haven't opened in months. The 3 streaming services you never watch. They feel like nothing day to day, but they're absolutely the difference between being in the red and being in the black.
Which leads to leak number 3. This one is more about discipline.
It's about choices. Confusing wants versus needs. The leak happens when you can't or won't distinguish between something you genuinely need, like shelter, and something you just desire in the moment.
Like the premium cable bundle.
Exactly. Or the newest phone the day it comes out. Your budget from step 4 should force you to ask, is this a necessity? Or is it just a want that gives me a fleeting feeling of convenience? That confusion is a severe financial drain.
And finally, leak number 4. This is the one that it feels like it cuts the deepest because it's tied to our ego.
It's arguably the most destructive, status and prestige spending. This is money you spend only to project an image for other people, to keep up.
What's a classic example of this?
The person who leases a luxury car they can't really afford, just because everyone else in the office parking lot has one. That monthly payment isn't buying transportation. It's not buying freedom. That money is literally being traded. Your future financial freedom, decades of compounding for a little bit of external validation from a coworker.
When you put it like that, trading years of your future for someone's approval today, the cost is just astronomical.
It is. And fixing this leak means fully embracing that asset owner identity. An asset owner doesn't use capital to buy opinions. They use capital to buy more time, more freedom, more future choices.
Okay, so we have the diagnosis, the 4 wounds, we have the map. Now for the solution. The emergency room protocol.
And this is direct. The order is non-negotiable. There are only 2 steps you need to take immediately.
Step 1.
Stop the bleeding. You have to get your cash flow positive, even if it's only by $1 single a month.
So not just slow it down, not manage it, stop it completely.
Stop it. Achieving a $1 surplus means that for 30 straight days, your total expenses were less than your net income. And you did it without using a credit card, without an overdraft, without dipping into savings.
Until you can do that consistently.
All the talk about investing, about building assets, it's just a fantasy.
And step 2 follows from that.
Only after cash flow is stable and positive can you even think about the next steps, like building an emergency fund. You have to stabilize before you can recover.
Right. You can't start a marathon training plan for a patient who is actively bleeding out on the table.
Perfect analogy. Stabilization is the absolute prerequisite for everything that follows.
Let's talk about the mindset here, because this is where people get stuck. They hear, stop the bleeding, and they immediately think restriction. They think endless cutting, and that scarcity mindset we're trying to escape.
And we have to just reject that framing entirely. This isn't about pain or restriction. It's about stabilization and control.
It's an empowering move.
It's a deeply empowering, active move. You become the surgeon in your own financial life. You take command of your capital flow. And the feeling of calm that comes from that stability, that is a massive non-monetary return in itself.
We see this so clearly in the story of the strategy's architect, Tamir Hacham. When he had that big identity shift, he didn't just quit his engineering job.
No, absolutely not. He used that steady paycheck as his economic anchor, his stable base.
Right.
And that stability gave him the security and, just as important, the mental space to learn and to start building assets on the side. Stabilization first, then growth.
He built the new structure on top of a stable foundation. His journey really is the perfect map for the sequence. Identity, then resilience.
And only then, growth. Stopping the bleeding is what anchors you firmly in that resilient stage. It proves, once and for all, that you, the asset owner, are in control of your money, not the other way around.
So, for you listening, what does this all mean? You've identified the leaks with your map, you know the protocol. Stabilization first.
You have to get that cash flow positive, even by little, and prove you can do it consistently.
And doing that sets us up perfectly for our next deep dive, where we tackle the rest of stage 2.
Yes. We'll get straight into step 6, building a consistent savings habit, and step 7, building the emergency fund and liquidity network. That's the safety net that truly shock-proofs your life.
We are building that impenetrable wall of financial defense.
So here's a final provocative thought for you. Go back to that 4th leak we talked about. Status and prestige spending. Look at your expenses right now and be honest. What one expense is only there to fund an image for other people? That money is literally being traded for your future freedom. So what single expense are you willing to trade this week to start buying back your actual, real freedom? That choice. That's where the cure begins.
Join us next time as we continue building that critical financial resilience wall. We invite you to continue the journey,